Korea's 2023 suspense blockbuster Dark Life drops with a bang. Park Sun-woong, dubbed the most twisted villain in Korean cinema history, takes on yet another chilling role in Dark Life. This film pushes the boundaries of depravity to an extreme that only Korea dares to explore. Let's cut to the chase and dive right into the plot. At the time, illegal live streaming was rampant in Korea. Criminals kidnapped innocent women to broadcast their torment, raking in obscene amounts of money from depraved viewers. The higher the tips, the more unspeakable the acts. Pregnant women weren't even spared. Dongju was an unemployed slacker, his daily routine with his friend, casually critiquing the suffering of victims in these twisted streams. But as the saying goes, when you stare into the abyss stares back at you. Karma comes fast. One day, Dongju's girlfriend, Sujene, discovers his viewing habits and, disgusted, cuts ties with him. No matter how many calls he makes, she refuses to pick up. Desperate, he floods her inbox with long, apologetic messages. No reply. Staring at the alarm clock she once gifted him, he drowns in regret, unaware that his computer has suddenly taken control and entered a live stream. Then, his friend sends him a picture of Sujene on a date with another man. Frustrated, Dongju dials her number, but the moment the stream starts, something horrifying happens. A masked man, known as Gentleman, introduces tonight's merchandise. Dongju ignores the stream, focused on calling Sujene, but then his heart stops. The ringtone, it's coming from the live broadcast. His eyes dart to the screen. There she is, his girlfriend. Viewers flood the chat, making crude remarks about Sujene's body. She walks into the bathroom, unaware of the nightmare unfolding. On screen, Gentleman calmly takes out a vial. Just a few drops of this, and she'll lose all awareness. He slips the drug into a glass of water. Dongju finally gets through and frantically warns Sujene not to drink anything from the man. But she, still furious with him, refuses to listen and hangs up. Back in the living room, Sujene raises her glass for a toast. At the last second, she hesitates, Dongju's words echoing in her mind. Viewers explode in rage, cursing her caution. Turns out, the man is actually her senior at work, meeting her to help Dongju find a job. Relieved by his kindness, Sujene lets her guard down and drinks. Moments later, dizziness washes over her. The chat erupts with excitement. Tips start pouring in, each one accompanied by monstrous requests. At this moment, Sujene falls into unconsciousness. It's only then that Dongju thinks to call the police, but in his panic, his words come out garbled, making him sound incoherent. Meanwhile, Gentleman announces an upgrade to the stream. Those who want to continue watching must tip at least 300,000 won. Anyone who fails to pay will be kicked out permanently. The viewer count skyrockets. Dongju has no choice. If he wants to keep an eye on Sujene, he must stay. With shaking hands, he empties his dwindling bank account and tips 300,000 won. Following audience demands, Gentleman picks up Sujene's phone and dials back. As soon as the call connects, Dongju unleashes a string of furious curses. Annoyed, Gentleman hangs up. Desperate, Dongju has no choice but to tip another 100,000 won just to get him to pick up again. This time, Gentleman pretends to be a kind stranger who just happened to find Sujene's phone. Desperate, Dongju tries to trick him into revealing the location, but Gentleman coolly replies, claiming he's about to turn the phone into the police. Out of options, Dongju blurts out the truth: he's watching the live stream. To prove it, he even types in the chat, declaring that Sujene is his girlfriend. Now that Gentleman understands their connection, his interest is piqued. Staring at the photo Dongju sends, he doesn't flinch, he just grins, more arrogant than ever. Then, he flashed a sinister grin and warned, "One more curse word, and I'll never pick up your call again." Then, Gentleman proposed a deal. For just 20 million won, Gentleman will return Sujene to you completely unharmed. Dongju hesitates, he doesn't have that kind of money. With no response, Gentleman casually raised the camera and slowly walked toward the unconscious Sujene. His hands begin to wander. His grin turns monstrous. When Dongju sees Sujene's stockings being pulled down, he snaps, grabbing his laptop. He rushes out to the police station, but suddenly, his internet cuts out. Panicked, he quickly connects to a hotspot just in time to stay in the stream. The whole time, Gentleman is watching him, tracking his every move. Unfazed, he taunts Dongju, laughing, "Make sure to bring me an iced Americano when the cops arrive." Before Dongju even reaches the station, viewers have already doxed him. His real name, address, even his apartment number are now exposed. Fear grips him, but he's more determined than ever to call the police. Just as he reaches the station doors, Gentleman delivers one last chilling warning. The moment you step inside, the entire world will get a front row seat to Sujene's nude show. Dongju freezes. Out of nowhere, a man crashes into him, knocking him to the ground. His phone hits the pavement, its screen cracking. Gentleman keeps pushing. You have 15 minutes to get back home. Terrified, Dongju abandoned the idea of calling the police and borrowed 3 million won from a friend to ensure he wouldn't be kicked out of the live stream. Other viewers watching the stream tried to snatch his laptop, but Dongju fought back just in time, managing to hold onto it. Finally making it home, Dongju grabs a band-aid and covers his webcam. Desperate, Dongju thought of his sister. Maybe she could go to the police on his behalf. But before she could act, viewers had already tracked her location. Panicked, he frantically warned his older sister to run. Then, the stream mysteriously cut out. Turns out, Gentleman had hacked into his sister's phone, pretending to be a doctor. In a calm, professional voice, he told her that Dongju had been in a car accident and urged her to rush to the hospital. When Dongju finally reconnected to the stream, he frantically exposed Gentleman's lie, begging his sister not to trust anyone and to go straight to the police. But the streets were filled with people blocking her path. Even she wasn't spared. Attackers swarmed her, snatching away her phone. Back at Dongju's apartment, the doorbell suddenly rang. An older man, disguised as a delivery driver, stood outside. He coldly demanded that Dongju hand over the 3 million won he had just borrowed. That's when Dongju realized his every move was being watched. He refused to pay. Enraged, Gentleman decided it was time for the next show. Meanwhile, outside, the police discovered a small note one Dongju had secretly dropped when he fell earlier. But when they dialed the number written on it, they were met with a deadline. The phone had already been shut off. Meanwhile, Gentleman's carefully orchestrated show began. He arranged a set of props, placing flowers on Sujene's chest. Then, he drew strange markings on her face. Finally, he placed a small knife in her hand. Then, the screen went black. A few seconds later, the real horror began. When the stream returned, Gentleman was slowly undressing Sujene, his twisted grin stretching wider. 1 minute later, everything had spiraled out of control. Dongju stared at his girlfriend violated, broken, his heart shattering in an instant. The chat exploded. The viewers were going wild. Then, Gentleman made a chilling announcement: an auction. The highest bidder would receive the exclusive, uncut footage of what had just happened. The audience went into a frenzy, placing bid after bid. Dongju had only one thought: he had to stop this. Fighting against the crowd, he poured every last cent he had into the auction, desperately trying to outbid them. The price skyrocketed. By the time his account hit zero, the final bid stood at 2 million won. And the winner? A user named Shan Yu. Dongju roared in fury, vowing to hunt down Gentleman and kill him with his own hands. But to Gentleman, it was nothing more than the pathetic rage of a powerless man. Nearly 5,000 viewers watched the escalating battle between them, entertained yet utterly indifferent. Not a single one chose to call the police. Then, Gentleman made another proposition: if you compensate Shan Yu handsomely, the video is still yours to buy. But Shan Yu played games. One moment, he demanded 5 million won, then 4 million, before finally going all in 5 million won. With no other option, Dongju frantically searched the web for loan options and took out a 5 million won high-interest loan. Just then, a knock came at the door. It was his friend, Glasses, making an unexpected visit. Dongju pleaded with him to record a video and take it to the police. But before they could act, Gentleman suddenly held up an ultrasound photo. That's when it hit Dongju: Sujene was pregnant. Glasses scoffed, saying Sujene had willingly gotten involved and wasn't worth saving. But Dongju had no choice. He wired the 5 million won, and true to his word, Gentleman sent over the exclusive video. Dongju couldn't bear to open it. He dragged it straight into the computer's recycle bin. Now, with Glasses' video, he finally had evidence. He urged Glasses to rush to the police, but his friend hesitated. If we report this, the fact that we've been watching illegal streams will come out. Do you really want to ruin your life over this? Dongju refused to listen. Snatching Glasses' phone, he went live, exposing everything that had happened and begging netizens to call the police on his behalf. But just then, a woman suddenly burst into the room. She was an escort Glasses had picked up off the street. All the live viewers saw everything. No one believed Dongju's words, and they all left the stream, furious. Dongju turned to punish Glasses, but his friend suddenly dropped a bombshell. Their other friend, Simin, had been secretly calling Sujene late at night. Meanwhile, Gentleman, Flipping through Sujene's phone, found the same thing Seamin and Sujene had been texting constantly. Had they been having an affair behind Dongju's back? Just as Gentleman was about to read their messages, a sudden knock echoed through the room. It was the police. They had tracked Dongju's location through his phone, but remembering Gentleman's warning, Dongju didn't dare open the door or call for help. Now that the cops were involved, Gentleman was furious, and with that rage came a new punishment: pay 100 million won, or Sujene gets sold to Europe. Dongju was still agonizing over the demand. He simply had no way to come up with that much money, but Gentleman had no patience. He summoned masked men to carry Sujene away, leaving behind a cryptic message. Think carefully. Why did this happen? Dongju was drowning in regret over losing Sujene when Seamin suddenly arrived. Rage flared in Dongju's eyes. He still believed Seamin had been secretly involved with Sujene. Losing all reason, he lunged at Seamin, and the two began brawling. All the while, Gentleman added fuel to the fire, narrating their fight for the eager viewers. Seamin desperately tried to explain he had never crossed the line with Sujene. He had only been contacting her to ask about job opportunities. But Dongju, blinded by fury, refused to listen. Then, in a fit of madness, he grabbed a baseball bat and beat Seamin to death. Even Gentleman's expression darkened at the sight of a real murder unfolding. Now, every single person in the live stream was an accomplice. A wave of panic spread through the chat. More than half the viewers didn't want to be caught up in a homicide case and quickly left the stream. Dongju, breathless and shaking, turned to Gentleman. Think carefully. If you return my girlfriend to me, I'll let this go. Then, he covered his webcam, muted his mic, and prepared to turn himself in. Before leaving, he told Glasses, "You have to testify for us." But the moment Dongju let his guard down, Glasses turned on him. His friendly face twisted into something sinister as he smashed a bottle over Dongju's head. Turned out that Glasses had also been watching illegal live streams all along. If Dongju exposed everything, the police would inevitably find him as well. Seamin, the man who was supposed to be dead, suddenly stood up and attacked Glasses. It was all a setup. Dongju and Seamin had planned the whole fight from the start, a staged performance to trap any traitors. They never expected Glasses to reveal his true colors, but their victory was short-lived. After a brief pause, Gentleman reopened the live stream. Only this time, he wasn't interested in bargaining. Without hesitation, he ended Sujene's life. His arrogance shattered. He pleaded in a broken voice, "Please, just let her go." Instead of getting angry, Gentleman smirked and praised their acting skills. He had covered the webcam. He had muted the microphone. How did Gentleman know? His eyes darted around the room, searching for an answer. Then, his gaze landed on the alarm clock Sujene had given him. He picked up the alarm clock and pried it open. Inside was a hidden micro camera. At that moment, Sujene slowly opened her eyes, and everything fell into place. This was never about ransom. It was all a setup. A carefully staged illusion, crafted not just to convince the audience but to break Dongju completely. Years ago, during the peak of illegal live streaming, Sujene's younger sister had been one of its victims. Even Gentleman's own wife had fallen prey to it. She had been 3 months pregnant when she was brutalized on a live stream. Gentleman had tried to report it, but the police did nothing. Even after victims died, their suffering never ended. The videos kept circulating. New victims kept appearing. Viewers indulged in the horror, yet none of them ever thought to stop it. So, the families of the victims came together, and they devised this plan. They tracked down the IP addresses of all 5,000 viewers. Each of them had received an alarm clock, embedding them into this fake live stream. Only one person, Dongju, had shown even a shred of humanity, trying to stop the footage from being released. But the other 4,999? Every single one of their identities would now be exposed. This was the only justice they could deliver. Many would claim they watched out of curiosity or that they accidentally clicked into the stream, but the internet is not a lawless place. Every second they watched, every click, every tip they sent became another knife stabbing into the victims and their families. A wound that never heals, a shame that lasts a lifetime. So, what would you do? See you next time.